Snow drifted softly over Neo-Seoul, blanketing the streets in quiet white. The city looked peaceful from the outside, glowing with holiday lights and distant laughter. Inside a small apartment above a closed laundromat, Amara Vale was doing everything she could to create warmth where money could not. She had been on her feet since morning. Soup simmered gently on the stove. Rice had already been reheated twice. The tiny living room smelled of effort, not luxury. Amara wiped the counter one last time and stepped back to look around. The apartment was small and old. The heater barely worked. But she had decorated it anyway. Cheap fairy lights lined the window. A paper star hung near the door. She reached up and straightened it, smiling nervously. Tonight mattered. She needed tonight to matter. It was Christmas. Tonight was for Lucas Grant, the man she loved. Amara smoothed her straight black hair again, checking her reflection in the dark television screen. Her dress was simple but clean. She wanted to look beautiful for him. She always did. She checked the clock. She reheated the food one more time, stirring slowly. Maybe traffic, she told herself. Maybe he was tired. She had loved Lucas from the first day they met. She loved him quietly and completely. She believed he loved her too, even if he rarely showed it. Keys finally rattled at the door. Her heart jumped. Lucas walked in without looking at her. There was no smile. No greeting. No warmth. He dropped his bag on the floor and glanced around the apartment with tired, uninterested eyes. "You're home," Amara said softly. "I made your favorite." Lucas did not answer. He sat on the couch and unlocked his phone. The silence hurt more than shouting. Amara swallowed the pain and walked closer, holding a small wrapped box with both hands. The paper was plain, tied with thin ribbon. "I bought you something," she said quietly. Lucas frowned and looked at the box. "What is that?" "A watch," she replied. "I saved for months. I hoped you would like it." He opened it quickly, glanced at the watch, and scoffed. "This is it?" he said. "Is this really all you could afford?" Her smile faded. "I tried," she said softly. Lucas stood up, his frustration rising fast. "Tried?" he snapped. "This is embarrassing. You should be ashamed." The words cut deep into her chest. "It's Christmas," Amara whispered. "I don't care," he shouted. The fairy lights trembled on the wall. Lucas grabbed her coat and threw it at her. "Get out." She froze. "What?" "Get out of my house. I am done with you." Her heart shattered quietly. "Please," she begged. "It's snowing outside." "I said get out." He shoved her toward the door, pulled it open, and pushed her into the freezing night. The door slammed shut behind her. The lock clicked. Snow fell harder. Amara stood frozen in the darkness. Snowflakes clung to her eyelashes and melted into tears. Her breath came out in sharp white clouds as she hugged herself tightly. She turned back toward the door and waited. Nothing. The lights inside went out. He was not coming back. Her legs felt heavy as she began to walk. Each step sank into deep snow. Her shoes soaked through. Her hands trembled violently. She had nowhere to go. No friends. No family. No money. No home. People passed her, laughing and celebrating Christmas night together. Music floated from nearby shops. Warm lights glowed from windows. But Amara felt invisible. His words replayed endlessly in her mind. "You're embarrassing. Get out. I'm done with you." Her chest ached as the cold grew worse. The wind cut through her clothes. Her knees weakened. She whispered a prayer with numb lips. "God, please help me." Her foot slipped. She fell to her knees, her tears mixing with the snow. Ahead of her, a massive building glowed gold against the night. Luxury cars lined the street. Music thumped inside. Men in black suits guarded the entrance. A private club. Too rich. Too powerful. Too far from her world. Still, she took a step toward it. Then another. Her vision blurred. The cold overtook her. Amara collapsed on the icy steps, her body going still as snow continued to fall. The heavy doors of the private club opened suddenly. Music and laughter spilled out into the freezing night. Warm light poured down the steps, clashing sharply with the cold darkness outside. Two security guards stepped out, their black coats thick and expensive. They were laughing about something when one of them stopped mid-sentence. "Hey," he said, squinting at the steps. "What is that?" The other guard followed his gaze. A woman lay motionless in the snow. They moved closer, their boots crunching against the ice. Amara's skin was pale, her lips trembling faintly. Her clothes were soaked through, clinging to her thin frame. Her black hair spread across the marble steps like ink against white snow. "Is she drunk?" one guard muttered. "No," the other replied, crouching slightly. "She looks frozen." "She cannot stay here," the first guard said coldly. "Move her away from the entrance." He reached down and grabbed Amara's arm roughly. "Stop." The word cut through the air like a blade. The guards froze instantly. Slow, deliberate footsteps approached from behind them. The laughter inside the club faded. Even the music seemed quieter, as if the building itself had gone still. A man stepped outside. He wore a long black coat, tailored perfectly, silver rings glinting faintly under the lights. His posture was relaxed, but his presence was overwhelming. The air around him felt heavy. This was Jean. The guards straightened immediately, fear flashing across their faces. "Boss," one of them said, bowing deeply. Jean's sharp eyes moved from the guards to the woman lying in the snow. When he saw her face, something in his expression changed. Just for a moment. She was shivering. Abandoned. Snow clung to her lashes. Her breathing was shallow. "What happened?" he asked quietly. "She collapsed here," one guard answered. "We were about to move her." "Move her where?" Jean asked. The guard hesitated. "Away from the stairs." Jin's gaze darkened. "No one touches her," he said calmly. The guard stepped back instantly, bowing again. Jean knelt beside Amara, ignoring the snow soaking into his clothes. He gently brushed her hair away from her face. Her skin was ice cold. "Who did this to you?" he murmured. She did not respond. Without hesitation, Jean removed his expensive black coat and wrapped it around her trembling body. The guards stared in disbelief. Jean never gave anything to anyone. Yet now, he lifted her carefully into his arms, holding her as if she weighed nothing. "She stays with me," he said. The guards bowed deeply, shocked but obedient. Jean turned and carried her inside through a private entrance. Warm air rushed over them, melting snow from her hair and clothes. The noise of the club faded as they moved down a quiet hallway lit with soft gold lights. Something unfamiliar tightened in Jin's chest. He did not save people. He did not care about strangers. But the sight of her lying helpless in the snow had awakened something he thought was long dead. He entered a private room reserved only for him. The floor was heated. The scent of clean wood and warm tea filled the space. Jean laid Amara gently on a long leather couch and covered her with thick blankets. She was still shaking. He poured warm water into a bowl, soaked a cloth, and carefully wiped snow from her face. Her hands were red and bruised from the cold. His jaw tightened. One of his men stepped quietly into the room. "Boss?" the man said, hesitant. "Should we call an ambulance?" "No," Jean replied without looking up. "She stays here." The man nodded and left immediately. Jean sat beside her in silence. Minutes passed. Her breathing slowly steadied. The violent shaking eased. He watched her carefully, his thoughts heavy. He remembered cold nights from his past. Nights when no one came. Nights when survival meant enduring alone. He was not letting that happen to her. Amara stirred. Her fingers twitched. Her lashes fluttered. Jean leaned forward. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused and confused. She gasped and tried to sit up, panic flashing across her face. "Where am I?" she whispered. "You are safe," Jean said calmly. She froze when she saw him. He looked powerful and dangerous, yet his voice was steady and gentle. She pulled the blanket closer around herself. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I did not mean to cause trouble." "You did not," Jean replied. "You collapsed outside." Tears filled her eyes. "I had nowhere to go," she said softly. "I did not want to bother anyone." You were not a bother, Jean said firmly. She glanced at the coat wrapped around her shoulders. You gave me this? Yes. Why? She asked, confused. Jean held her gaze. Because no one deserves to cry alone in the snow. Something inside her broke open. Tears slid silently down her cheeks. I am sorry, she whispered again. Do not be, Jean said. Just rest. For the first time since Christmas night, Amara felt a small sense of safety. Warmth wrapped around Amara like a dream. For a moment, she thought she was still outside, frozen in the snow. Then the ache in her bones softened. Her breathing slowed. The cold loosened its grip. She slept deeply. When Amara finally woke again, the room was quiet. Soft light glowed from hidden lamps along the walls. The floor beneath her feet radiated warmth. Thick blankets rested over her body, and the scent of tea lingered in the air. She sat up slowly, her head spinning. This was not her apartment. Panic stirred in her chest. She looked around. Clean wooden walls. A leather couch. No windows. No noise. Everything felt controlled. Protected. She pressed her hand to her chest, breathing carefully. She was alive. Amara pushed herself up, her legs unsteady. She folded the blanket neatly, then smoothed her hair with her fingers. She did not want to look careless. She did not want to be a burden. She reached for the door. It opened before she touched it. A tall man dressed in black stood outside. His posture was rigid, his expression sharp. You should not walk around alone yet, he said calmly. The boss asked to be notified when you woke up. The boss? Amara repeated quietly. Yes. Siora Jean. Her heart skipped. The man lifted a small device to his ear. Boss, she is awake. Moments later, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Siora Jean appeared. He was not wearing a suit this time. A light gray sweater rested against his broad frame, simple and unadorned. His hair fell loosely across his forehead. He looked almost normal. You are awake, he said. Yes, Amara replied quickly. I am sorry. I did not mean to disturb anyone. You should still be resting. I feel fine, she said, though her voice wavered. He studied her quietly. Her posture was straight, but her hands trembled slightly. Her eyes carried exhaustion she tried to hide. This room is a guest room, Jean said. You are not taking anything from me. She nodded softly. Come, he added. We will eat. He led her into a wide dining room with tall windows overlooking the city. Morning light reflected off snow-covered rooftops. A long table was filled with food. Toast, eggs, soup, fresh fruit, warm tea. Amara stopped walking. This is too much, she whispered. It is normal, Jean replied. Normal. She sat carefully, picking up chopsticks with uncertain fingers. Her hands shook. Jean stood behind her and gently guided her hands. Like this, he said quietly. His fingers were warm. When she managed to hold them properly, a shy smile crossed her face. Thank you. Jean returned to his seat and watched her eat. She moved slowly, careful not to take too much, careful not to seem greedy. You apologize too often, he said calmly. She looked up, confused. You thank people for things that should not require gratitude, he continued. You move like you are afraid to exist. Her chest tightened. No one should live like that. Tears formed in her eyes, but she blinked them away. After breakfast, Jean stood and spoke quietly to one of his men. Cancel my meetings. I will not be available today. The man bowed instantly and left. Amara noticed the respect. It was not fear. It was loyalty. Do you want to see the city? Jean asked. She hesitated. I do not want to trouble you. It is not trouble. I do not have warm clothes, she admitted. Jean turned slightly. Bring her a coat, gloves, and shoes. Before she could protest, the man was gone. Minutes later, a cream-colored coat was placed gently in her hands. It was thick, soft, and clearly expensive. She touched it carefully. Try it, Jean said. It fit perfectly. He looked at her for a moment. Beautiful, he said simply. Her cheeks warmed. They stepped outside together. Snow drifted quietly around them. For the first time, Amara did not feel cold. People stared. Ciara Jean, the man whispered about in fear, walked beside her like a shield. "Are they staring at me?" she whispered. "They are staring at me," he replied. "I do not walk with people." "Then why walk with me?" she asked. He met her eyes. "Because you do not hide who you are," he said. "Because you are honest. Because you remind me of something good." Her steps slowed. "But you do not even know me." "I know enough." They walked in silence until they reached a small bakery. Warm air and the smell of fresh bread spilled out as Jean opened the door. Inside, the owner bowed deeply. "Welcome, boss." Amara blinked. Jean ordered sweet bread and hot chocolate. She took one bite and froze. "It is very good," she said softly, her eyes shining. Jean smiled. It was brief but real. That night, Amara lay awake in the guest room, watching snow fall outside the window. Her body was warm, but her thoughts were restless. A knock sounded. "Come in," she said quietly. Jean entered holding 2 cups of tea. He sat on the floor across from her. "What is your heart saying?" he asked. "That I should not be here," she answered honestly. "That I do not belong in your world." "And what do you want to say back to it?" he asked. She shook her head. "I do not know." "Then I will answer for you," Jean said. "You are not a mistake. You are not invisible. And I do not help without reason." "Why help me?" she asked softly. "When I saw you in the snow," he said, "something inside me told me not to let you disappear." Her breath caught. "You are important," he added. Silence filled the room. For the first time in a long while, Amara felt seen. Days passed quietly, but the calm felt fragile. Amara began to settle into life inside Ciara Jin's world. She learned the rhythm of the house, the soft hum of heated floors, the quiet discipline of the men who guarded every corridor. They treated her with careful respect, never staring too long, never speaking unless spoken to. Still, she felt it. Eyes. Always watching. Every morning, Jean greeted her with a calm nod and a cup of warm tea. Sometimes he spoke. Sometimes he simply sat nearby, his presence steady and protective. It was comforting, yet overwhelming. She tried to make herself useful. She folded blankets that did not need folding. She washed dishes already clean. Each time, Jean stopped her gently. "You do not work for me," he said. "I want to help," she replied. One evening, Jean brought her a notebook and a pen. "I will teach you Korean," he said. They sat close on the couch. He pointed to each letter carefully, explaining the sounds with patience. Amara leaned in, listening closely. "You learn quickly," he said. She smiled shyly. "I am not very smart." He looked at her sharply. "Do not say that. You are smarter than you believe." Her smile faded slightly. Compliments still felt unfamiliar, like clothing that did not belong to her. As the days passed, Jean noticed small things. The way she flinched at sudden noises. The way she apologized before speaking. The way she always asked permission. "You have learned how to survive by shrinking yourself," he said one afternoon. She lowered her eyes. "No one should have taught you that." That night, Amara walked alone to the balcony, needing air. Snowflakes drifted softly under the city lights. She hugged her arms around herself, lost in thought. Footsteps echoed behind her. She turned quickly. One of Jin's men stood at a distance, watching her. His expression was unreadable. "I am sorry," she said quickly. "I was just looking outside." "You should not be alone," he replied. "It is safer if you inform us first." Safer. The words stayed with her long after he left. Later that evening, as Amara walked past Jin's office, she heard his voice through the closed door. "Cold. Dangerous." "No one touches her," Jean said. A man responded nervously, "The men who followed her last week." "Deal with them," Jean interrupted. Amara stopped breathing. "Followed her." Her heart pounded. She stepped back quietly before anyone noticed her presence. That night, fear returned. Not of Jean. Of the world outside his protection. When Jean emerged from his office, Amara waited for him in the living room. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. He stopped immediately. "Of course." They sat across from each other. The lights were dim. The room felt smaller. I heard something, she said. Someone followed me? Jean exhaled slowly. Yes. Her hands tightened in her lap. Why? When you went to the bakery alone, he said. 2 men watched you. Her voice trembled. Because of you? Possibly, he replied honestly. Fear crept up her spine. I do not want to bring danger to your life, she said. Maybe I should leave. Stop, Jean said firmly. She looked up. You are not leaving, he continued. Not now. But why? She whispered. Why protect me like this? He leaned forward, his voice low and intense. Because I cannot accept the idea of losing you. Her breath caught. From the moment I found you in the snow, he said, something inside me changed. Silence stretched between them. You are not trouble, he added. You are the first thing that feels right in a long time. Her heart raced. And I will protect you, he said. No matter the cost. Amara realized then that safety came with a price. Outside, snow continued to fall. Inside, something far more dangerous was growing. Amara tried to believe she was safe. Days passed without incident. The house remained quiet. Jin's men moved with silent discipline. No shadows followed her in the halls. No strange faces appeared at the gates. Still, her heart refused to settle. Safety felt temporary. Like borrowed time. One afternoon, Jin allowed her to walk outside with an escort. The air was cold but bright. Snow crunched beneath her boots as they passed shops and quiet streets. People stared, not at her, but at the men beside her. Power announced itself without speaking. They stopped near a familiar bakery. Amara's chest tightened. This was where she had first come alone. Where Jean had bought her bread and hot chocolate. Where warmth had felt simple. She stepped inside with the escort waiting by the door. The bell chimed softly. The owner smiled politely. Then her body went still. A man stood near the counter. Felt familiar. Wrong. Her breath caught in her throat. Lucas Grant. He looked thinner, angrier. His eyes scanned the room until they locked onto hers. Shock flickered across his face. Then confusion. Then something darker. Amara, he said. Her hands trembled. He stepped closer. Where did you disappear to? Do you know how much trouble you caused me? She backed away instinctively. I do not want to talk, she said quietly. Lucas laughed bitterly. Look at you. New coat. New life. So that's how you did it. The escort moved instantly, stepping between them. Sir, you need to leave, the man said calmly. Lucas scoffed. Who are you? Her new bodyguard. Amara's heart pounded. Please stop. Lucas leaned closer, his voice low and sharp. You think you're better than me now? The escort raised his hand to his earpiece. Boss, he said. We have a situation. Jean arrived minutes later. The temperature in the room dropped. Lucas turned slowly, annoyance etched across his face. Then recognition struck. Color drained from his skin. Siora Jean, Lucas whispered. Jin's gaze moved from Lucas to Amara. She was pale, shaken, but standing. Did he touch you? Jean asked calmly. No, she replied, her voice barely steady. Jean stepped forward. You will leave, he said to Lucas. Now. Lucas swallowed. She's my girlfriend. This is between us. Jin's eyes darkened. She is nothing to you, he said. And you will never speak to her again. Lucas laughed nervously. You think you can just take her? Jean moved closer until they were face to face. I do not take what is not offered, Jean said quietly. But I protect what is mine. The room went silent. Amara's breath caught. Jean turned to her. You are safe. Lucas backed away slowly, fear replacing his anger. This isn't over, he muttered. Jean did not respond. That night, Amara could not sleep. Her past had found her. Jean stood by the window watching the city. They will not bother you again, he said. She hugged her arms around herself. I am afraid. I know, Jean replied. That is why I am here. She hesitated, then spoke. You said you do not take what is not offered. He turned to face her. Yes, Her voice trembled. What if my past refuses to let go? Jean stepped closer, his presence steady and unyielding. Then I will make it release you. Outside, snow fell softly. Inside, the line between protection and possession grew thinner. The city slept, but Siora Jean did not. Amara woke to unfamiliar sounds echoing through the penthouse. Low voices. Heavy footsteps. The faint hum of tension pressing against the walls. She sat up slowly, her heart racing. Something was wrong. She wrapped a sweater around herself and stepped into the hallway. The lights were dim, but the air felt charged. Voices drifted from Jin's office again. Cold voices. Not gentle. Not patient. He followed her, a man said quietly. We traced him to 3 locations. Jin's voice followed, calm but sharp. And? He is asking questions. He is angry. Silence. Then Jean spoke again. End it. Amara's breath stopped. Make sure he never looks for her again, Jean continued. I do not want mistakes. Yes, boss. Footsteps moved away. Amara pressed her hand to the wall, her body trembling. End it. What did that mean? She stepped back quietly before anyone noticed her. That night, sleep did not come. The next morning, Jean greeted her as if nothing had happened. He poured her tea. He asked if she slept well. His expression was calm, unreadable. She stared at him, searching his face. You are quiet, he said. She swallowed. I heard something last night. His hand paused briefly on the teapot. What did you hear? He asked. Your men, she replied. They were talking about Lucas. The name hung between them. Jean did not deny it. He should not have followed you, Jean said calmly. Her voice shook. What are you going to do to him? Jean met her eyes. I will make sure he never harms you again. Fear and relief collided inside her chest. That sounds dangerous, she whispered. It is necessary, he replied. She stood up suddenly. No. I do not want blood on my life. I do not want to be protected like that. Jean rose slowly, his presence filling the room. You were thrown into the snow, he said. You collapsed alone. If I had not found you, you would be dead. Her eyes filled with tears. I know. But I do not want someone hurt because of me. He stepped closer, his voice firm. Amara, my world is not gentle. Threats are not asked to leave. They are removed. She shook her head. Then your world is terrifying. Yes, he agreed. But it is the only reason you are still breathing. Silence fell between them. Her voice broke. I do not want to be owned. His expression shifted. I do not own you, he said slowly. I protect you. There is a difference, she replied. Jean exhaled deeply. For the first time in years, he said, I am afraid. She looked up at him. Afraid of what? She asked. Of losing you, he answered. Of becoming the man I was before you arrived. Her chest tightened. You are already that man, she whispered. You just hide it from me. He did not deny it. I will not touch him, Jean said finally. Not unless he forces my hand. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. But understand this, he continued. If danger comes again, I will not hesitate. Amara realized then that loving Jean meant standing beside a storm. That night, a message arrived on Jin's phone. One word. Gone. Jean stared at the screen. Amara watched him carefully. What does that mean? She asked. Jean looked at her. It means the past is never as easy to erase as we hope. Outside, sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Inside, Amara wondered if she had escaped one nightmare only to enter another. Morning arrived quietly. The city outside looked unchanged, calm beneath fresh snow. Inside the penthouse, however, something fragile had shifted. Amara did not sleep. She sat by the window, watching the sky lighten, her thoughts heavy. Jin's words echoed in her mind. His world was not gentle. Protection came with consequences. She realized something that frightened her more than the cold ever had. She was safe because of him. But she was also trapped by that safety. When Jean entered the room, he stopped when he saw her dressed and standing. You are awake early, he said. I did not sleep, Amara replied. Neither did he. They stood facing each other in silence. I need to go out alone today, she said calmly. Jin's expression hardened instantly. No. Her chest tightened, but she did not look away. I was not asking, she said. I am telling you. You are not ready, he replied. There are still risks. There will always be risks, she said. If I stay here forever, I will never learn how to stand again. His jaw tightened. You do not understand, Jin said. People watch me. Anyone near me becomes a target. She nodded. And if I stay hidden behind you, I will never be anything but a weakness they can use. The word hit him hard. You are not a weakness, he said sharply. I feel like one, she replied softly. Every time you silence a threat for me. Every time someone is afraid because of my name. Silence fell. I need to know who I am without your shadow, she continued. Just for a few hours. Jin turned away, struggling. I lost people because I let them walk away unprotected, he said. I will not lose you. She stepped closer. You are not losing me. You are trusting me. He faced her again. Trust is dangerous, he said. So is love, she replied. The word hung between them. Finally, Jin spoke. 1 hour. Relief washed over her face. No guards, she added. His eyes darkened. That is not negotiable. 1 guard, she said. At a distance. Jin hesitated, then nodded once. She stepped outside alone for the first time in days. The cold air felt sharp but freeing. She walked slowly, breathing deeply, reminding herself that she was still here. Still alive. People passed her without fear. Without knowing who she was connected to. For the first time, she felt normal. Until she felt it. Someone watching. Her steps slowed. A reflection in a shop window caught her attention. A man stood across the street, pretending to check his phone. Her heart raced. She turned quickly. The man looked up. It was not Lucas. But he smiled like someone who knew too much. Amara stepped back. Her phone vibrated. A message appeared. Do not turn around. Walk calmly. Her breath shook. Another message followed. You wanted independence. This is what it costs. She quickened her pace, forcing herself not to run. The man followed. Her phone buzzed again. I see him. Stay calm. She turned the corner sharply. The street emptied. Footsteps echoed behind her. Then they stopped. A car door slammed. Silence. Her phone buzzed once more. Go home. She did. When she returned to the penthouse, Jin stood waiting. His face was pale with restrained fury. I told you there were risks, he said. And I told you I needed to know, she replied. They stared at each other, both shaken. You were followed, he said. Not by your past. By mine. Her heart sank. What does that mean? She asked. It means the war has noticed you, Jin replied. She realized then that choosing herself had not set her free. It had made her visible. The penthouse felt different after that night. Quieter. Heavier. Amara noticed it immediately. Jin's men moved faster. Conversations stopped when she entered a room. Doors that once stood open were now closed. She had become more than a guest. She had become a liability. Jin stood near the window, his phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, controlled, but sharp enough to cut. They approached her in public, he said. That was a warning. Silence followed. I do not care who authorized it, he continued. Send a message back. He ended the call and turned toward her. They wanted me to know they can reach you, he said. Her throat tightened. Who are they? A rival group, he replied. Old enemies. They have been quiet for years. And now, she asked. And now they think I have something worth threatening. She realized what he meant. That evening, a package arrived. No return address. One of Jin's men brought it in carefully, his expression grim. Boss, he said. It was left downstairs. Jin did not touch it. Open it, he ordered. The man hesitated, then cut the seal. Inside was a single object. A phone. It vibrated the moment it was lifted. Jin took it and answered without speaking. A distorted voice filled the room. You should have left the girl in the snow. Amara's blood ran cold. She does not belong to your world, the voice continued. And now she is standing in the middle of it. Jin's voice was calm. Say what you want. We want to see how far you are willing to go, the voice replied. Because we know you will choose her. The line went dead. Jin crushed the phone in his hand. That night, Amara sat alone in her room, staring at the door. For the first time since arriving there, she locked it. Jin knocked softly moments later. Come in, she said. He stepped inside, his expression unreadable. They are not after you, she said quickly. They are after you. I should leave. No, he said immediately. If I stay, she continued, they will keep coming. And if you leave, he replied, they will hunt you. She stood up. Then what choice do I have? Jin stepped closer, his voice low. You stay. And I end this. Her eyes widened. How? Decisively, he said. Fear flickered across her face. You said you would not let violence decide everything. I said I would not unless forced, he replied. They forced it. She shook her head. I do not want to be the reason people die. You are not the reason, he said firmly. You are the reason I will finish this. Silence filled the room. If you want to leave, Jin said finally, I will protect you until you are gone. And after? She asked. His voice dropped. After, I will burn the world that tries to follow you. Amara understood then. There was no safe exit. Only choices with consequences. She took a slow breath. If I stay, she said, you do not make decisions without telling me. Jin looked surprised. You want a voice, he said. I want agency, she replied. I will not survive as a symbol or a weakness. He studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded once. Very well, he said. You stand beside me. Not behind me. Her heart pounded. Outside, snow began to fall again. Not softly this time. Heavily. Amara's life changed the moment she chose to stay. Not in comfort but in truth. The following morning, Jin did not bring her tea. Instead, he handed her a phone. This stays on you at all times, he said. If it vibrates once, you listen. If it vibrates twice, you run. Her heart pounded, but she nodded. I will not turn you into something you are not, Jin continued. But I will make sure you are not helpless again. Training began quietly. Not weapons. Not violence. Awareness. One of Jin's trusted women showed her how to read rooms, how to notice reflections in glass, how to recognize footsteps that followed too long. Amara learned how to keep her posture calm even when her pulse screamed. Fear, she learned, could be hidden. Days passed. Her confidence grew in small ways. She stopped apologizing before speaking. She walked with purpose. She looked people in the eyes. Jin noticed everything. One evening, as they stood overlooking the city, he spoke quietly. You are changing. I am remembering who I was before I was afraid, she replied. His expression softened. That night, the enemy made their move. Amara was alone in the study, reading, when the lights flickered. Her phone vibrated. Her heart raced. Twice. She stood instantly and moved toward the hidden door Jin had shown her. Before she reached it, glass shattered somewhere below. Alarms screamed. Footsteps thundered through the building. Her phone buzzed again. Stay where you are. She froze. Gunshots echoed. Her breath came fast, shallow. Minutes felt like hours. Then the door opened. Jin stepped inside, his jacket stained with blood that was not his. You are hurt, she said, panic rising. I am fine, he replied. Are you? She nodded, tears threatening. They wanted to see if you would panic, Jin said. You did not. She swallowed hard. They broke into your home. Yes, he said. And they failed. Later, as the building returned to silence, Amara sat beside him, hands trembling. This is my fault, she whispered. No, Jin said firmly. This is the cost of being seen. And you survived it. She looked at him, fear and strength colliding inside her chest. I do not want to be hidden anymore, she said. But I do not want to lose myself either. Jean met her gaze. Then we protect who you are, he said. Not just your life. For the first time, Amara understood. Survival was not about becoming harder. It was about becoming unbreakable. The night after the attack, Neo-Soul was quiet again. Snow fell gently, settling over rooftops and streets like a soft apology from the world. Inside the penthouse, the tension finally loosened, though it did not disappear. Some things never did. Amara stood by the window, watching the city lights shimmer beneath the snowfall. She was no longer shaking, no longer hiding. The woman who had collapsed on icy steps felt distant now, like a memory she had outgrown. Jean joined her silently. They will not try again, he said. Not soon. She nodded. And after, he replied, they will remember what it costs to cross my line. She turned to face him. You never promised me a peaceful life, she said. No, he admitted. Only an honest one. She took a slow breath. I used to believe love meant enduring pain quietly, she said. I thought strength was surviving whatever someone gave you. Jean listened without interrupting. But I was wrong, she continued. Strength is choosing yourself, even when it is frightening. He studied her, pride flickering briefly in his eyes. You chose yourself, he said. And you chose to stay. Yes, she replied. But not as someone who needs saving. Silence stretched between them, calm and settled. You are not mine to protect, Jean said slowly. You are someone I walk beside. That matters, she said. He rested his hand gently over hers, steady and intentional. Outside, snow continued to fall. Amara thought of the small apartment, the cheap lights, and the cold door that had once closed her out. She thought of the night the snow nearly took her life. And she realized something quietly powerful. That night had not destroyed her. It had delivered her. She was no longer a woman thrown into the snow. She was a woman who had walked through it and lived. Jean spoke softly. The world is not kind. No, Amara replied. But I am stronger now. She turned toward him, her voice steady. And I will never accept love that hurts me again. A rare smile crossed his face. Neither will I. They stood together, watching the city breathe beneath the falling snow. Not because danger was gone, but because fear no longer owned her. She was not rescued by power. She was reborn by choice. If this story touched you, take a moment to reflect. What did you learn from Amara's journey? Was it about self-worth, setting boundaries, healing from betrayal, or choosing yourself when life pushes you into the cold? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective may help someone else feel seen and understood. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video. It helps Afrosiora Chronicles reach more people who need stories like this. And don't forget to subscribe to Afrosiora Chronicles for more powerful stories about strength, survival, love, and transformation.